He said, will these tensions subside?
Well, I think on land they will. You've already seen yesterday that the Vietnamese government was able to bring planned protests to heel, and I think they understand that that is not in their interests anymore to allow these things to go on, so I don't think you'll see too much more of that. But at sea, as you just saw there, you've got all these ships out there, and Vietnam can't really afford to back off now. The Chinese say they're not leaving until the middle of August, so you've got several weeks, if not months, of this ahead still.
So the question is, can Vietnam and China resolve this on their own? Can they, through bilateral talks, through diplomatic relations, come to an agreement to end this standoff?
Well, the problem with bilateral talks, this is what China always prefers to do with its neighbors in ASEAN, is that, you know, in a room with just the two of them, the Chinese hold all the cards. And you've seen so far that there have been high-level meetings between Chinese and Vietnamese officials that have just been a statement of their positions and have led nowhere. The only way that Vietnam is going to be able to bring any diplomatic pressure on the Chinese will be if ASEAN can really unify behind them, which is something you haven't seen up until now. They need to change. Vietnam needs to convince the rest of the group that this is in their long-term interest to put together a united front.
So what would it make for China to remove this rig? It's hard to believe one oil rig can cause such widespread protests, but indeed that's what we've seen. And this rig is in, of course, the disputed waters off Vietnam's coast. So what would it take for China to take it away?
Well, probably a lot more pressure than Vietnam is going to be able to bring realistically. You know, I think if you believe that the Chinese really care about the oil that's supposedly down there, and there are conflicting reports about how much oil, you know, there is in that region, you know, if it was about that, then perhaps you could have some sort of talks and come to some sort of agreement on joint development of resources and so on. But it also seems clear that the Chinese are doing this to send a message to the United States and about the United States presence in that part of the world. And if you look at it that way, then the Chinese really have no interest at all in backing down. And the Americans, because Vietnam is not a treaty ally, have very few options other than rhetoric, which is what they've been using so far.